And many of you will know Michael Lotz. He's an evangelist who works with Christian unions all over Britain and indeed the world. And Michael, it's great to have you here this week with us.
Thank you.
Start us off by just helping us think, why are CU missions so effective and what is the strategy behind them?
Mission weeks are very exciting, but mission weeks actually come often at the end of a whole year of evangelism. So there are really kind of 4 key areas through the year you want to think about. Freshers Week is really the opportunity to start how you mean to go on. By doing evangelism in Freshers Week, you kind of set the bar for what you're going to be doing. You reach non-Christians, but you also show incoming Christians what the CU is all about, that you're a mission team on campus. Then you've got your autumn weekend away, your house party. Think of what Forum is like in equipping, exciting, motivating you for mission. And think of replicating that in a weekend for the whole of your CU. That's what you want to aim for there. And then you've got your carol service, which is probably your biggest numerical opportunity through the year. So it's not uncommon to get 4 times the size of your CU along for a carol service. That doesn't always take too much effort. So loads of people come to that. And then in the spring term of Mission Week, it's really a culmination, a climax of all the opportunities through the year. So the seeds that you've sown through the year can be reaped up in a harvest then.
Brilliant. So there's 4 key times in the year: Freshers Week, house parties, carol service, and then mission weeks in that second term.
That's really helpful. Now, many of us will have been part of mission weeks which kind of flopped, we know what that's like, or maybe had or not even had a mission week if they're part of a small CU. Dave, tell us about your experience as a staff worker and how you saw a growing effectiveness of mission weeks in one particular CU, if you could.
Yeah, so I was staff worker for 3 years for, among other CUs, the University of Manchester. Little enthusiasm. And we'd struggled for a few years with mission weeks, and then one year we sort of had a big change. So, in the interest of easy plagiarism, 3 Ps, they planned it, they plugged it, and they prayed for it. So they planned it before. In previous years, the exec had tried to do everything in Mission Week. This first year, they put together a mission planning team. So if you can, if there's people in your CU who you could make a little team out of, who it's their job to plan the mission, it's their job to think big, it's their job right from September through to put the mission together, then that is a great idea if you can manage that, and that works really well in Manchester. They use this planning resource which a staff worker can give you, which kind of walks you all through it, so that was really helpful. So they planned it, they plugged it, so they got it on the CE radar really early on. So the CE weekend away, Mike was saying how important that is. For the past few years we've done a massive launch of Mission Week on Saturday night of the weekend away, and that really helps to kind of get on the radar. Launch it again for those that weren't at weekend away, perhaps a couple of weeks later, and just kind of keeping it on the agenda in CU main meetings every week. That's really helpful. So, what did I say? They planned it, they plugged it. Yes, you're right. There is another P. 3 Ps, 3 points. Yes, and they prayed for it. So prayer is so important. Asking the Lord to work, otherwise we're wasting our time, aren't we? So a number of ideas that were good for that. One that I think we nicked from Sheffield, but you probably nicked from somewhere else. I think we've been doing it for years. Little bookmarks that people have in their Bibles and that kind of thing, with 5 people on, mates that they pray for. We pray for as often as we could, that God would work in them for the mission week, that He gave us boldness to invite them, all that kind of thing, and getting them out just for a couple of minutes every CU meeting to say, let's turn into groups and pray for these 5 people. That's really helpful. Someone had an idea as well last year. Friday, 555. So at 5 p.m. on Friday, everyone texted round for 5 minutes to remind one another to pray for those 5 people. So there's a few ideas in that one.
That's great, Dave. Thanks so much. And now, James, you're a student at Manchester. Is that right?
I am, yeah.
Could you tell us a wee bit about your experience of mission weeks at Manchester Uni?
Well, so far I've been involved in 2. The first one I wasn't Christian at, so that was good, because I'm a Christian. Thank you. So the experience from that one was just getting to know a lot more about the Bible and checking out the validity of it. Lunch bars, because Michael was there, so that was great. Describing how so the evidence behind it and why you can believe and why you can trust in it. And the evening events, understanding why the cross is so important and how that is sort of learning to Christ.
Marvellous. And how are you involved now in Mission Weeks?
Well, last year I was sort of involved in one of the P's prayer. Sort of prayer meetings in the mornings and then going on to events and that kind of thing. And again, that's another different side to it I'd never seen. It was having a chance to listen again to the same talks, the same topics, and reinforcing my own understanding. And talking to other people, other non-Christians, and trying to explain to them why I believed it. And now I'm going to be mission chairing next year, so that's scary.
Good. Well, you're in the right place to plan for that, aren't you? Careful.
Yeah, I guess so.
Good. Michael, how did you get on last year's Manchester mission?
Yeah.
Tell us a quick story from it.
It was so exciting seeing how the CU is just growing in their confidence. One story that was particularly encouraging. This Christian Union has a stall in the Student Union and handing out stuff for the day. And next to their stall, there was another stall. There was a guy who was having his chest waxed for charity, as you do. And so someone from the CU invited him to one of the talks. I think it was the one on suffering, which would be particularly relevant. And he came. After we had his chest waxed, he was so interested he came back an hour later after one of his lectures to talk more. We went out for dinner that night, answered a number of his questions, came to the evening event, which was really unpacking what the cross means in terms of forgiveness. And that night he gave his life to Christ. It's been great. It's been really encouraging to keep in touch with him and to hear how he's growing. But it's been even more encouraging that James has been able to meet up with him in Manchester to keep on studying the Bible after mission as well.
It's great seeing the kind of repercussions of yours.
Fantastic. So guys, let these stories and others like it inspire you this week to make the most of planning. You know, if you haven't even begun to sort out a mission week or Freshers week, do get cracking. Don't wait till tomorrow, Friday. And if those plans are already in place, then do make the most this week of maybe meeting up with your mission speaker if they're here, finding one if you haven't got one yet, and really making the most of these next 2 days with your staff worker, with relay worker, making plans to maximise mission on campus.
In particular, the workshops this afternoon are going to be really helpful. So they're all on page 24 of your programme, and they're about making the most of every CU opportunity by doing what you do as well as you can. And so you can go to seminars like make the most of follow-up, of publicising events, and Michael's doing one on making the most of planning a mission week, so they'll be really helpful.
And go to these things today with Freshers Week especially in mind. As Michael said, it is an enormous opportunity that first few weeks as a new generation of students come. So everything you hear today in the seminars, be thinking what great ideas can you take back to begin using and making the most of even as Freshers Weeks begin.
And you can divide and conquer. So if you're a small CU committee, team up with another small CU committee, go to lots of different seminars, write notes down, come back together and pull the wisdom, divide and conquer.
And with your regional forum, be asking other CUs what ideas have they got for Freshers Week in the year ahead. Grab the best of their ideas, book in time with your CU, with different committees, with your staff worker, with your relay worker today, to really make the most of the next 2 days and maximise mission in the year ahead.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks so much, guys. Let's give them a hand.